Hey, I'm Dakota Lee. I have a gift to see in the spirit that I've had since I was at least 4 years old. I've been visiting heaven since I was 12, and this is my dad. His name is Bill, but I call him Dad, and he has been with me and raised me through this whole process. In another video I did about my mom, and so I wanted to feature my dad. And you guys have been together how long?
36 years.
Yeah, which is amazement all in itself. So Dad, one question I get a lot, well, if I get a question about my parents, one of them is, were you ever majorly concerned for my mental health?
No. We had sometimes we'd share the gifts with other people and they would suggest we need to check you out. But there was nothing abnormal about Dakota except that she had this gift to speak with God and go see things in the spirit. Mm-hmm. And when she first shared that she was seeing angels at the dinner table, it was, my first thinking was, it's a test of my faith. Mm-hmm. I was heavy into Andrew Womack and Joyce Meyer and learning about the Bible at the time, and God was growing my faith. I just feel glad that I didn't blow it, because I could have discouraged the gift, right? I could have said, oh, that's ridiculous, Dakota, don't ever share that, but I felt, because I wanted to encourage it, I certainly believed in angels, just nobody in my family had ever seen one before, right? So this was a first for us, so it was a little surprising, but I don't think we ever worried about your mental health.
And I think you shared earlier is because one of the reasons is you said normal in every other way. Yeah.
Loved horses.
Still do.
Still do. Just like to have fun, like to have friends. Mm-hmm. But you also love God, which we loved about you as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. Well, another question I wanted to ask you was, what's one thing, the coolest thing or your favorite thing that you've learned from my experiences?
So, heaven to me, there's a couple of things. One is, there was someone had preached to me a while back, before Dakota had shared some things about heaven, that the perfection of your soul happens when you go to heaven, right? Mm-hmm. So my thought was, what if I'm so perfected that I have no knowledge of anything in my past life? Would I not know my family, all the things that I love? Would I be very different? And it's good to know that there's some continuity, that the good things of my life will be continued in heaven and I can enjoy them. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was good. And another thing is that once you get there, all there is to do is to, praise God constantly, 24/7 for eternity. That just doesn't appeal to me. I know it does to some people, right? And maybe it's right for some people, but I'm glad to know that there are other things to do in heaven and you can enjoy life in many different ways.
That's a really good point. I remember we had a conversation not even that long ago about like perfection of the soul and like how far does that perfection go? Do you even recognize yourself? And one thing that's really cool is, we all kind of understand that only God knows everything. Not even Jesus knows, like, for example, when the end times are going to come. But another thing is that when you get to heaven, you know some things immediately, but you don't know everything immediately. And I remember you were saying, really? You don't know everything immediately? And I said, well, Dad, you love pickleball. He's really, really good at pickleball. Really good. I said, but if you get to heaven and suddenly you are absolutely the best at pickleball and you know everything that you could possibly know, every theory, every angle, everything about every other player, there's literally nothing left to learn about pickleball. I asked, how long do you think it would take before you'd stop playing pickleball?
Not long.
Not long, right. And so God knows this about us. He knows this is the kind of the human condition is we actually love to learn. And so if we take that away from us, the joy goes back out of it. So when we get to heaven, we are still learning things constantly. Some things we know immediately, but some things it's a joy to continue to learn.